The Israel Defense Forces says that it has operational control of the Gaza side of the Rafah crossing. The announcement follows what the Israel Defense Forces said were targeted strikes against Hamas in eastern Rafah. Now, talks are to resume in Cairo after Hamas said it would accept a deal drawn up by Egyptian mediators. It was, however, rejected by Israel as far from meeting its core demands. It is not clear exactly what Hamas has agreed to, but the proposal is thought to include the release of hostages and the return of displaced Palestinians within Gaza. Now joining me to discuss this is Global Affairs Analyst Collin Nweke. Hello, Collin. Thank you so much for joining me at this time.
My pleasure to be with you, Dashan. Thank you for having me.
A pleasure. Now, what's the implication of the Israel Defense Forces claiming operational control in Gaza? That's operational control of Gaza's side of the Rafah crossing.
Generally, Dashan, the consequence is that the mayhem, the suffering of Palestinians simply continue more or less unabated. Now, on the other side, of course, you also need to see things from the Israeli perspective, because essentially what they are doing here is finding whatever means possible to exercise as much pressure on Hamas as possible to be able to obtain what they want. And so you ask yourself, what exactly do they want? In the immediate, what they want is the release of, Israeli hostages held by Hamas. On the other hand, Hamas itself is saying that quite a number of, in fact, hundreds of Palestinians, are held prisoners by Israel, and they need them, released. So you see, the propaganda, which of course we will admit is part of warfare, is so very much that, at the end of the day, you ask yourself, who is actually telling the truth? How are we going to sieve the misinformation, the disinformation from the actual fact? But one fact that is clear to everyone that can see is the fact that, the mayhem continues, the killing of Palestinians, continues, and until both sides are ready to go the extra miles, I believe that, the mayhem will simply continue.
So, Collins, you're saying that the likelihood of the talks, in Cairo, leading to the resolution or to a resolution between, Israel and Hamas is negative. It's not going to happen at all.
Well, from what we can see now, it doesn't look likely. But of course, never say never. And the reason, people have to, hold up the hope that there might still be, light at the end of the tunnel is that while Israel has said that Hamas is singing hallelujah over an agreement that was amended by them alone and has not been accepted by Israel. And so that doesn't sit well with them. So as they condemn that and say, over our dead body, they are equally sending negotiators, mediators to the, the further negotiations. So that means that somehow they are leaving the, the door at ajar, not necessarily closed entirely. So with that in mind, it might very well be that, they are going to come closer to, each other, and that a deal might be struck in the coming weeks.
All right, well, no doubt, all this going on adds to the diplomatic pressure, especially when it comes to, the already diminished aid supplies on civilians and how the likelihood of them getting more aid. But it's so sad that this is where we would have to wrap up, Collins. But thank you so much for speaking to us on this, and we hope to speak to you on this some other time.
My pleasure always. Thank you for having me.